Okay, so taking our knowledge from solving equations into this next little part, you really need to focus on the steps involved, okay? So we distribute where we need to, we combine like terms where we need to, but most importantly, we follow SADMAP, okay? If you can remember this carefully, then it should make the rest of it pretty easy. So let me go over what we've seen before, okay? If I look over here, to solve this equation, I need to take care of any subtraction or addition first. So I see adding 7, so the inverse of adding 7 is to subtract 7. So I have x equals, because the 7's canceled, negative 12 minus 7 is negative 19, and there's your answer. So taking that into consideration for a literal equation. Literal equations is whenever you're solving for a variable, but there are a ton of variables, okay? So here's what I tell my kids. Look at this problem right here. My goal is to solve for A. That means getting anything that's next to A or around A out of the way, okay? The only thing happening to A right here that's getting in the way of it being by itself is this adding B. So think about it. What's the inverse of adding B? Subtracting B. But what I do to one side, I do to the other. So I'm going to subtract B to the other side. Okay, I know it looks odd, but think about this. So I have A, because these B's cancel, equals. Now, and I don't know about you, but I don't know what C represents and I don't know what B represents. So if I don't know and they're just variables, just write what you see. C minus B. And there's your answer. Okay? So over here, if I take back what we've learned in the past, okay, to get y by itself, I see minus 9. The inverse of subtracting 9 is to add 9 to both sides. So I have y, and the 9's cancel, equals 34 plus 9 is 43. And there's my answer, okay? So if I look at number 2, they want me to solve for D. The only thing in the way of D being by itself is subtracting E. And the inverse of subtracting E is to add E to both sides, okay? So I have D, the E's canceled, equals, again, we don't know what F represents, we don't know what E represents, so I can't put those things together, so just write it, F plus E, and that's what D equals, okay? We're going to take that same knowledge, but think about multiplication and division. So if I look at here, okay, to get x by itself here, I see multiplication. The inverse of multiplying is to divide by negative 6 to both sides. The negative 6 cancel, and I have x equals negative 30 divided by negative 6 is positive 5. So if I look at number 3, they want me to solve for r. They want me to get r by itself. So think about what's happening to r. It's being multiplied by 2 pi. And the inverse of multiplication is to divide by 2 pi. The whole thing. Divide both pieces by 2 pi. So on the left side, that's it. C divided by 2 pi equals, the 2 pi's cancel, r. There's my answer. Here, this is division, but the inverse of dividing by negative 4 is to multiply by negative 4 to both sides. So negative 4's cancels. I have y equals 8 times negative 4 is negative 32. If I look at number 4, they want me to get m by itself. Right now, m is being divided by v. The inverse of dividing is to multiply by v to both sides, okay? So on the left, I have v times d. I don't know what those values are, so I'm just going to write v times d equals, the v's cancel, equals m. Okay, so taking all that, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing into consideration, let's practice some more. So number 1 is A equals LW, and they want me to solve for W. So think about what operation is going on with the W. And it's being multiplied by L. When they're side by side like that, they're being multiplied. So what's the inverse of multiplication? To divide. And I'm going to divide by what I'm trying to separate from W. So I'm going to divide by L to both sides. I don't know what A divided by L is, but I can sure write it. A divided by L equals, the L's cancel, equals W. I'm done. If I look at number 2, they want me to solve for H. So I need to look, what operation is being done to H? Well, B is being multiplied times H, and the inverse of multiplication is division, and I'm going to divide by what I'm trying to separate from H, so I'm going to divide by B to both sides. Again, I don't know what A divided by B is, but I can sure write it. Equals, the B's cancel, and that equals H. Number 3, they want me to solve for T. You see how repetitive it's starting to get? They want me to solve for T. Well, right now, R is being multiplied to T. So the inverse of multiplication is to divide by what I'm trying to separate from T. So I'm going to divide by R to both sides. I don't know what D divided by R is, but I can sure write it. And B, the R's cancel, so D divided by R equals T. Number 4, they want me to solve for T. Right now, T is being multiplied by P and R. So I'm going, the inverse of multiplication is to divide, and I'm going to go ahead and divide by both, P and R. So I have I divide by PR equals, the P and the R cancel, equals T. Number 5, I'm going to solve for H. So right now, H is being multiplied by L and W. So the inverse of multiplication is to divide by L and W. So V divided by LW equals H. Number 6, they want me to solve for R. We've kind of already seen this one, but we'll do it again. 2 and pi are multiplying by R. So the inverse of multiplication is to divide by 2 pi. Divide by 2 pi. So I have C divided by 2 pi equals R because the 2 and pi cancel. Okay, if I look at number 7, they want me to solve for C. Now, if you look at C, it is being subtracted by S, and the inverse of subtracting is to add. So I'm going to add S. Remember, I'm going to add what I'm trying to move over. So M plus S, I have no idea what those represent, so I'm going to literally write M plus S equals C because the S's cancel. Okay, number 8. They want me to solve for pi. That means right now pi is being multiplied by r squared. Well, the inverse of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide by what I want to get rid of. So I'm going to divide by r squared, and that's it. So A divided by r squared equals pi because the r squareds cancel. Last one, 9. They want me to solve for M. Well, right now, M is being divided by V, and the inverse of division is to multiply by V to both sides. So I have VD, because V times D, equals M because the V's cancel.